Hey Luke, this is actually a response video to your objective morality video, which I can't find anymore, so either I hallucinated the entire video or it's just not up anymore. I hope it is the latter. Anyways, you talk about moral objectivity, which just simply means that morality exists. You talk about how all men are equal. How do you determine that all men are equal? What are you defining equality is? This is really something that needs to be addressed if you're going to make the claim that all men are said to be equal, or all men are said to be of the same quality. If you're defining equality based on man's value to society, then we're clearly not. Someone who has like a mental or physical handicap is obviously not my equal. However unfortunate it may be, they still cannot function in our society. They are far less, I guess, important than I am because they cannot produce to society and I can, and I do. It doesn't mean that they are exempt from value, because they can become valuable as cures and jobs become available to these people or those kinds of people. But if you need any further evidence, perhaps you should probably first disprove how someone who cannot produce is more valuable than me, a person who can and does produce. Or you need to elaborate more on your definition of equality. Please refrain from using examples until you've actually defined the word equality. Also, how do you justify your moral principles? How do you define principle? What would be the methods of application? And so how do you even obtain this objective morality, or even how do you even obtain morality? It's quite obvious that it's not inherent. It's not a structure we develop. It's structured primarily off of our values and metaphysics. Slavery fails because it infringes on another person's rights, which is something that shouldn't. It should. This is something that should be taken into consideration when defining morality, but it's not something that makes up morality. So whatever you do, I mean, you bring up the stance that initiating force on another person is wrong, and I totally agree with that. Slavery falls in that category, but it's not something that is the whole of morality. Yeah, I agree with what you said about initiating the force, because when you're forcing your will or ideology on someone, then they don't have the same right to do that. But this is obviously consistently applied in parenting. A parent is consistently imposing their ideology on a child who has no idea how to even defend itself against ignorance and garbage that parents undoubtedly sow into its brain. So I don't know how we'd fix that. The thing is, we live in a generally free society. The miseries and misfortunes of, I guess, the people that surround us or that we hear of don't necessarily impede on our ability to be happy. Sometimes they do, and this isn't to say that solutions shouldn't be looked for or that argumentations shouldn't be created. It means the opposite. But most people have the ability to obtain happiness through application of philosophy. So those that don't have the ability to obtain happiness, it's simply unfortunate, and it's something we must accept and reflect upon. Over time, I believe, or I hope, that logic will overrule ignorance, and we'll be a predominantly wealthier society than we are today. Because we can see that we are making progress, even if it is slight. It's still progress. Even if most people's philosophies are utter garbage, they're still engaging in some kind of intellectual activity. Not everyone, but most. I wouldn't say most, but a huge population of people are. Not everyone is self-destructive, which is it's a plus. So also the last thing you said was to cease the argument, or just to cease to argue about words. I don't know your battles in semantics, but words need to have meaning, because they have to contain valid concepts of our reality. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to, relay our own existence to one another. So I'm just hoping you could clarify a few things, and that'd be great. Thanks.